Hurts back. He's going to run. He goes up the middle again. He is across the 20 and down to the 19.
Jalen's going to come out for a play. It looks like Kenny Pickett is going to come in, and they're going to check on Jalen Hurts.
We go into a game with a plan if that were to happen. We go into a game with a plan if both guys were to go down and Tanner were to be in. That's just something you go through on your weekly process. So, again, that's not something that's a on-the-fly thing. That's something that's been discussed all week.
Well, the game of the day on Sunday was a remarkable comeback. The Commanders for the ages, and it looks like Washington going to be in the playoffs, playing into January for the first time in a long time. Good morning. Unsportsmanlike is on ESPN Radio, on ESPN2. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. You can hit us up. Dr. Pepper call-in line open at 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. The highlight there, courtesy of Sports Radio 94 WIP. We'll talk about the Eagles side of this, and there's a lot to say momentarily. Courtney, I got to tell you, I feel so good for the fans of the Washington Commanders. Everything they've been through, worst owner in sports, basically having Dr. Evil own your football team for the last 20 years. To come out of this, to find the right coach and definitely the right quarterback, and to have 2 wins this year, really the 2 best regular season games. You were there in person for one of them, the Jaden Daniels Hail Mary. And then yesterday, for them to pull off that comeback and to have everything ultimately bounce their way to get them to 10 wins, you probably didn't sleep last night if you were a Washington Commanders fan.
Yeah, and to watch him overcome, and the whole team overcome a litany of mistakes. I mean, it wasn't 1 but 2 interceptions from Jaden Daniels that ended up being an afterthought by the time he was throwing his 5th touchdown, the go-ahead score to Jamison Crowder with 10 seconds left to lead the team to a position now where they snatched that win back from the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, I was telling you this earlier. So I was covering the Bears game, and I'm watching the highlights on my phone on Gamecast as I'm going down to the locker room to go talk to Bears players after that loss. And I'm like, all right, they kick the field goal. All right, what's happening now? Devontae Smith drop. Ooh, that doesn't sound great, but hey, they kicked another field goal. It's 33-28. There's a minute 40 left on the clock. I'm like, that's enough time for a game-winning drive, but do I think it's going to happen? I think probably the Eagles defense, which had been playing some of the best football of any defense in the NFL, would be able to get a stop. And they didn't. And Jamison Crowder's on the receiving end of a touchdown that gives Washington another walk-off win, and Jaden Daniels' legend continues to grow. That was such a big boy football moment from the rookie, who's not just the best rookie in the NFL. Go ahead and give him Offensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Definitely.
For a while, I thought it was him and Bo Nix kind of vying for it back and forth. Yesterday sealed it for me.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I was like, Jaden Daniels has his team in line for a spot in the postseason. They haven't locked anything up yet, but over the next 2 weeks, feels more than likely that they will.
Yep.
But he's not just one of the best, not just the best rookie quarterback right now. He's playing one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and doing that and overcoming some ups and downs and maybe hitting a rookie wall around, week 12, week 13, things that he had to overcome, to seeing where he is now, knocking off the best team in your division. And keeping them at bay a little bit, taking the 1 seed and throwing that out the window for the Philadelphia Eagles, I think is just incredibly super impressive all the way around for a quarterback who, going into the season, we weren't sure how that the Washington Commanders were going to present themselves in a division that felt a lot harder, a lot less top heavy than it currently is between the top 2 teams, and a team that had not had any sort of relevancy in terms of wins and losses in quite some time.
Yeah, I think he was a little banged up. I think the bye week did him a lot of good. And then I also think that he just has some magic about him. There are certain players that just have that, I don't know, this is going to sound so cliche to say, but that it factor. Jaden Daniels definitely has it. Now, I have a bone to pick, I guess, a little bit with our digital team at ESPN. At one point, the Eagles had a 97% win probability in the fourth quarter. Do you follow this, Courtney, and do you buy it? I mean, there are times where a team is 99.9% to win, and then they end up losing. I think these algorithms, well, hold on. It happens more than 0.1% of the time. I think they need to redo those algorithms. And they were only up by 6. How much NFL football are you taking Jaden Daniels into account? Do you know The plays that this guy is making over the course of the game, I thought that was a little bit wild. On Sportsmanlike, I'm Aaron Goldhammer with Courtney Cronin. Okay, the Philly perspective of this is a little bit scary. Beyond just the Saquon storyline, they now have quarterback problems. Jalen Hurts out with a concussion. We don't know how long. Don't even want to speculate there. And then Kenny Pickett also was in the x-ray room after this game. And so Philly maybe in one Sunday goes from being the favorite or one of the favorites in the NFC, where now I think they have potential legitimate problems. They're going to win their division, but good luck going on the road and winning if you don't have 100% healthy Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, you would like to think that they're going to prioritize health over anything else the final 2 weeks of the season when they have the Cowboys and they end the season at home against the Giants. So 2 home games, 2 games where you can rely on your crowd a little bit more to help you through it, especially on defense. And I wouldn't push this. If you're Jalen Hurts, knowing that you have to be healthy for the postseason, and it's not that, I don't know. Like with the concussion and the hit from Frankie Louvu, and it looked like he got his bell rung going into the tent. Like they ruled him out pretty quickly. They said evaluated for a concussion. It's not like it didn't really feel like there was much of a chance for him to come back in. You want a long, sustained playoff run, and you want to be healthy for it. So I would imagine that they're going to, or at least they should, slow play this thing for as much as you can and not try to get him back for 2 games that you should be able to win without him. Now, to find out the severity of the Kenny Pickett injury, I think it's going to be a pretty important news item today coming out of the Eagles' day after availability. Because who did you say is their quarterback?
I think some guy named McBride.
Trey McBride, is that accurate?
Is that a person? If they're playing Trey McBride against the Cowboys, they're going to slip even further back in the NFC standings. I'm Aaron Goldhammer with Courtney Cronin on Sportsmanlike on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. One of the other weird things that Philly did, and Sal Paolantonio covers the Eagles for ESPN, amongst other things. Of course, the legendary Sal Pal pointed this out as well as anybody. Jalen Hurts goes out. Philly was dominating the game. Saquon had over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. They don't change their offense. I mean, who's more athletic, Jalen Hurts or Kenny Pickett? You're expecting Kenny Pickett to run a bunch of RPOs? It was pretty eye-opening to me that they didn't make any in-game adjustments when Pickett came in, and I thought it really exposed them and then put Saquon in a really bad spot. He only had like 40 yards, Courtney, the rest of the game. I would have totally changed the game plan when Jalen Hurts went out with that concussion.
Yeah, and by the way, the quarterback's Tanner McKee. Trey McBride, I believe, plays for a different team. So that would be the 3rd-string quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. Another name for you to have to.
Apologies to Trey McBride and Tanner McKee's family. I'm going to have to send some apology notes this holiday season. I'm sorry, Courtney.
It is interesting because Washington changed what they were doing defensively. They went from playing 2 high to a bunch of single high. Once Kenny Pickett went into the game, they committed more to stopping the run. And as you mentioned, like the effectiveness of Saquon Barkley kind of took a hit there after he eclipsed the 2,000 yards from scrimmage mark that he hit earlier in the game. He still finished with 150 yards rushing on 29 carries. I looked at that stat line. I'm like, man, they ran him quite a bit. So I feel like the health factor here and the longevity preserving factor extends beyond just Jalen Hurts, but also to the Philadelphia Eagles running back and run game too. Because to stay healthy at a time where I know the 1 seed kind of feels like it's going to be either between Minnesota and the Detroit Lions. I know that, from the outside looking in, it feels like Philadelphia's chances of getting that are probably a little slimmer at this point following this loss, because they could have locked up the division last night. Now they've got to wait until week 17 at the earliest to do that. But I would be a little wary of that, considering what's at stake here, and that you don't want to end with a sour taste, which ends up becoming 5 losses versus the 3 that you currently have.
Sounds like the Eagles last year, doesn't it?
Yeah, if you stumble down the stretch with the Cowboys and the Giants, 2 teams that you they will be favored in, and you should be able to beat those teams, whether it's Jalen Hurts not playing, whatever it is. I mean, I would would not be too concerned there, but I also think that you've got to be cognizant of what the long game is here instead of just trying to get through the regular season.
I'm Aaron Goldhammer. I now know the difference between Tanner McKee and Trey McBride. She is Courtney Cronin on Sportsmanlike, is on ESPN2 and on ESPN Radio. The chase for the record here is an interesting narrative with the Eagles. 268 yards Saquon Barkley needs in order to eclipse Eric Dickerson's all-time single-season rushing record. Now, I will point out here that Saquon would do it in 17 games, whereas Eric Dickerson did it in 16 games. I don't know, Courtney, is this such a hallowed sports ground here that the Eagles should focus on making sure Saquon tries to get the best chance to get the 268?
Well,
or are you just kind of like, man, let's get ready for the playoffs and not worry about the record book?
If it comes down to week 18 and they've already, if there's no way for them to better their seeding chances or where they're going to be seated in the NFC playoffs, I could see the argument for resting him.
Yeah.
But let's go back to the game against the Pittsburgh Steelers last week. That was coming off of all of the noise and drama about the passing offense in Philadelphia and Jalen Hurts, afterwards wearing his Kangol hat backwards saying, so this is what y'all wanted. They were forcing the ball to their receivers. They made a concerted effort to show you our passing game is just fine the way that it is, and it can beat a really good defense along the way. I feel like Nick Sirianni is going to, just knowing the personality there and seeing what we've seen and knowing what that record would mean for that offense, a team that went and snatched Saquon Barkley from a division opponent in free agency, I feel like they're going to force their way to get him that record. You can't tell me any differently based on the way that they've coached these games and based on the way that these games have gone. When they've tried to assert their dominance and they do it from the very start, they usually end up on the right side of that. So I could absolutely see the case for them being like, no, 268 is doable. He had 150 yesterday. You have 150 next week, 150 the week after that against the New York Giants to end the season. He's pretty much there.
I would put a small asterisk by this record if Saquon ends up getting it, because having the extra game, I mean, if you gave Eric Dickerson an extra game, he'd still be the ultimate rushing champ. I guess records were made to be broken. That's one that I like still having from when I was a kid. I've known since I was about 8 that Eric Dickerson was the single-season rushing champ. The list of guys that have had 2,000 yards in a season: Barry Sanders, Terrell Davis, Jamal Lewis. It's a pretty illustrious list, and I think Saquon, either way, however they choose to handle this, is probably going to join it. All right, coming up next. Did one quarterback in the NFL show us why he cannot be trusted moving forward? This is on Sportsmanlike on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
I can see the attendant looking how to spell Bentley.
Honda may be easier.
Ford. I'm not trying to put it out there, but I played 11 years in the National Football League. I ain't played for nothing.
Unsportsmanlike. More coming up next.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text BIKE to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text BIKE to 321-321. That's BIKE to 321-321.
Got a plumbing, heating, cooling, electrical, or sewer problem? Look no further than Fred's Plumbing, Heating, Air Conditioning, and Electric. Locally owned and trusted, Fred's team of professionals is ready to tackle projects both big and small. Why waste time and money on complicated DIY fixes? Fred's experienced team will get the job done right, saving you time, stress, and cash. And when it comes to sewer problems, make sure you call Fred's for a second opinion you can trust. At Fred's, they do it all. No project too big, no project too small. They do insulation, repairs, replacement, and maintenance. And they now offer service agreements. For reliable service, professional expertise, and solutions that work, call Fred's Plumbing, Heating, Air Conditioning, and Electric today. 217-586-3863. Or go to fredscu.com. You can always trust Fred's.
Get the roof your home deserves by Roof Doctors, your residential roofing specialist that has always offered the best warranties in the industry, like our non-prorated 50-year warranty. Our customers love that we are family-owned and locally operated. We make our customer needs our top priority. With over 30 years experience and the best customer service, give Roof Doctors a call today for your free estimate at 328-7529. In your community and for your community, Roof Doctors.
Kelsey Furniture in downtown Tuscola sells Tempur-Pedic beds. What's it like?
I'm going to tell you right now, Stevie, that thing is the best thing I've ever slept on in my life. My wife and I both have said we've never had better night's sleep. And the people at Kelsey's were fantastic. Brian is the guy that helped us. You know, as much as I did my research, he had a world of knowledge about beds themselves. Oh, man, it's like sleeping on a cloud, man.
Kelsey Furniture, downtown Tuscola.
With Progressive Snapshot, you could save on auto insurance rates by driving safely, which is great because you're rarely rewarded for just being you. Ever get rewarded for being left-handed? No. You get to use weird scissors. Your reward for being a Capricorn? Cold birthdays that conflict with the holidays. And your reward for quickly responding to every work email? More emails. But with Snapshot, even left-handed Capricorns with proper email etiquette could get rewarded for good driving. So download the Progressive app today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in all states or from all agents.
Since 1955, the University of Illinois Police Training Institute has been dedicated to making police officers active, respected members of their community. Using the adult learning model, PTI's curriculum focuses on understanding diverse communities and treating everyone with dignity and respect, going beyond state standards, specializing in Brill Lead training, juvenile officer certification, and LGBTQ ally training. Discover more on Facebook and Instagram or visit pti.illinois.edu.
The weekend, what the Ravens not only were able to do to the Steelers, but really to Russell Wilson specifically, making him look like Denver Russell Wilson and not Seattle Russell Wilson.
Especially when, like, with the game on the line in a situation like that where it's the postseason, they had a chance to go lock up the AFC North, and they didn't. And going into this game, I thought it was going to be more important for the Baltimore Ravens to win, because not only do you keep the Steelers at bay for the next 2 weeks, the division still could be won by Baltimore, and you could get the home playoff game and be one of the top 4 seeds. That's important. But it was Lamar Jackson being able to say, I finally did it. I was 1-4 against Mike Tomlin's teams coming into this game. 11 turnovers in there. We know how bad they were on third down the last time these two teams played earlier in the season. For him to be able to say, whew, I did it. I got it done. It was a playoff-like environment, and I rose to the occasion. That's what I thought was the most important element of this, that you may face this team again. Who knows how the playoff seeding is going to happen? They could end up seeing each other in the wild card round for all intents and purposes. This was a team that offensively throughout the season, there have been moments where you're like, that's MVP Lamar Jackson, or what the heck was that Lamar Jackson? Yeah. You got the former of that this week when he threw for 203 yards, 207 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. But really, it was that defense that came through at the end of the game, the Marlon Humphrey interception, all but sealing it for the Baltimore Ravens on a day where I don't know if Russ turned back into a pumpkin, so to speak. I thought he actually played like a pretty decent game until the turnover. Yeah. But this red zone offense for the Steelers in a game where, I don't know how much longer they're going to have to be without George Pickens. I keep hearing, he's close. Like he's got the hamstring injury. It came on late before that Cleveland game. How much longer is that going to keep him out? They need him right now. Calvin Austin was not able to, not that anybody expected him to, but not able to carry the load 2 days ago. In the conglomerate that they're trying to put together here, knowing that Pat Freiermuth too, was pretty ineffective yesterday. He was their leading receiver going into this game without without George Pickens, and it just feels like the offense is kind of coming apart at a time where you really can't afford it to.
I thought, first of all, the Russ play where he's about to score and fumbles, I mean, you make a play like that in any game. Ask Jonathan Taylor, who did it a week ago. His fumble wasn't forced. Russ's was, but it was an unforced error, really, by the Steelers. You fumble when you're about to score in a game like that against a really good team, the odds of winning are slim to none. The other play that surprised me, were you a little surprised? Tomlin goes for 4th and 6 at the Baltimore 45, down 7 on the first play of the fourth quarter. Man, sometimes, and I really like him as a coach. I don't know. Look, he's never been under 500, so far be it for me to criticize him. Sometimes the decisions he makes, specifically about when to go for it and when to punt, are very strange to me, and that one was pretty eye-opening. They don't get it, and then right off the bat, Baltimore is able to sort of go down and finish the game.
Yeah, I think if you were to criticize any coaching decision in the game, it would probably end up being that one because of then what happened afterwards for the Baltimore Ravens. As I'm trying to figure out, where do I... this is a 34-17 game. That's a 17-point deficit for.
It was closer than that.
But it was close. It felt closer than that, and of course there was the late score that put that one away for Baltimore. But I don't really know where to assign blame here. I feel like the easiest place to do it is with Russell Wilson because we know how bad they've been in the red zone, and anytime you get down there, you can't just squander those opportunities the way that he did with the fumble and of course the pick six. I don't want to believe that that's indicative of who they are right now, but until you tell me otherwise, we've seen their offense do that multiple weeks in a row, whether it was the botched, what do they call it, an aborted pitch in Philadelphia the week before between him and Najee Harris on the exchange on the toss play.
Right.
These little mistakes keep hurting.
They kick a lot of field goals, Courtney. To your point,
and
a lot of it is
they're very lucky. They have a great kicker, but you're coming away with 3 instead of 7 on a more routine basis, and that worries me about your viability as a playoff team, knowing what these offenses are going to look like in the AFC in a month.
Look, the Steelers are a good team. They're not a great team. And for anybody that thought they were a Super Bowl contender, I think that they were playing a little bit above their heads as they went through November. I do think, obviously, they're going to make the playoffs. I would be surprised at this point if they were to win more than one playoff game. I just don't think, welcome to the NFL in 2024. You got to be able to have offense, and you got to be able to score touchdowns. I think Baltimore is better positioned to knock off Kansas City, and Buffalo is better positioned. The Steelers, to me, would be 4th or 5th choice in the AFC, and it makes you wonder. Everybody thinks they're going to stick with Russ, so they got to stick with Russ. Are they willing to sign up for above average, or are they at some point really going to try to make a play to have a real franchise quarterback again? Because I don't think they can win Super Bowls until they get that thing taken care of. Yeah,
and I get the short-term nature of it, completely different situation, but it's kind of in age and all of those things. So maybe I'm not even comparing these the right way, but it's kind of like what Minnesota's facing right now in the decision. Do you keep Sam Darnold? Do you let him hit free agency? It's worked this year. You have the right setup between quarterback and play caller. Whatever's working in Pittsburgh has gotten you to a point where you're a 10-win team, but will we feel the same about that decision of, hey, you keep Russell Wilson on a short-term basis, he's in his mid-30s, it's not like he's going to be playing that much longer, if they lose to the Kansas City Chiefs. And they also have the Cincinnati Bengals to finish out the season. That's not an easy task.
Both at home. But
if you lose those games, are you thinking differently about, if this team's getting into the postseason, if they what they do in the postseason, but also long-term? I know that every year we do this with the Mike Tomlin team, and you expect that there will be one year where he doesn't make the postseason, one year where he doesn't have a record above 500, and he continues to prove us wrong. So who am I to say that they can't figure out a way to get it done? But I just have so much caution in my belief in the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, and thinking, oh yeah, I'll pick this team for a deep playoff run, because when you start to see these mistakes at the quarterback level, with quarterback play and the level in which Russ is playing, I don't have a lot of confidence that if you run into a Buffalo, if you have to go on the road to Kansas City, that it's going to be any different of an outcome than what we saw on Sunday in Week 16.
So here's the situation. The Steelers right now have the tiebreaker over Baltimore because of a better conference record. But the Steelers have those two tough games. They have Kansas City and Pittsburgh, and then they have all of a sudden Cincinnati might be fighting for a playoff spot in that game. Baltimore, meanwhile, has one difficult game left on the schedule, and then they have the Browns left on the schedule.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Right now, I would say it's 60-40 that Baltimore ends up being the AFC North champion. They end up getting the home game, and then that puts Pittsburgh on the road, potentially going to Baltimore in the wild card round. And I would imagine, Courtney, that would be the featured game of wild card weekend. And now that they're over this little bugaboo with Lamar, I would pick the Ravens. I would say the Ravens, I think, to me, have a better chance of making a run than the Kansas City Chiefs do. Coming up next, we go back to college football. Is Ryan Day on or off the hot seat? We debate. I'm Aaron Goldhammer. She's Courtney Crone as we continue on Sportsmanlike on ESPNU and ESPN Radio.
Georgia versus Notre Dame.
There's a different feel to the playoff.
Boise State versus Penn State.
There's an intensity that gets ratcheted up.
Oregon versus Ohio State.
The stakes get much higher.
Arizona State versus Texas. The college football playoff quarterfinals on ESPN Radio and ESPN.
Adam Schefter here with Vivid Seats. We've got some late-breaking news coming out of the stands. According to multiple sources, Vivid Seats fans are scoring rewards on every purchase and at a rapid pace. Obviously, these rewards are a game changer, and coupled with their MVP-worthy ticket selection, why get tickets anywhere else? Don't drop the ball this season. Shop with Vivid Seats and earn rewards on every ticket. And as the official ticketing partner of ESPN, Vivid Seats is offering you $20 off your first $200 ticket purchase with code Schefter. That's code Schefter.
If it's hot, it's at GNC. And we bring you the best new stuff first. GNC has this winter's newest in weight loss, muscle building, and wellness. And the best energy drink flavors anywhere. If it's at the top of your feed, it's already at GNC. Ask a GNC coach about the newest drops from Rise, Mutant, Alani Nu, Drip Drop, and more at your local GNC store, or shop our full collection of flavors and online exclusives at GNC.com. If it's hot, it's at GNC. Live well.
Want unbeatable prices on your next furniture purchase, but also seeking that local hometown feel? Look no further than Kelsey Furniture in Tuscola. Customers rave about their friendly, established staff, as well as their great selection, amazing prices, and second-to-none delivery service. They're a third-generation local business, and they've always got your best interests at heart. Find the look you love for less. Open 9 to 5 Monday through Saturday, but always available online at kelseyfurniture.com. That's kelseyfurniture.com.
Hey, could you tell me what aisle your car batteries are in?
Sure, I'll go grab one for you. Here's your battery. It might be expired, but oh well. Also, the brand isn't that great, but it should work for at least a year or two, maybe. Anyways, I went ahead and charged you for it, and here's the battery. Okay, have a great day.
What just happened?
Sometimes good things are hard to find, but they're worth the wait. Make the trip out to Interstate All Battery Center at 2504 North Madison Avenue and get all of your battery needs taken care of by the trusted professionals. Give them a call today at 355-4855.
Good morning, First Federal Savings Bank. How may I direct your call?
Speak with friendly, real people during lobby hours. It matters when you call First Federal Savings Bank of Champaign-Urbana. A real person located at the bank. Not a recording answers your call during lobby hours. Personal, friendly service makes a difference. 217-356-BANK.
Thank you for calling. Have a great day.
Rated 5-star superior by Bauer Financial, Inc. Fast, friendly, and local with local loan decisions and underwriting. If you're not already banking with us, give us a try. We think you'll love it here. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. NMLS 435120.
Flooring Surfaces has a brand new showroom. You'll see beautiful products displayed in new and exciting ways, with inspiration around every corner. Enjoy a modern floor covering experience in a space designed to showcase what Flooring Surfaces does best. Premium flooring options, free design assistance, free expert advice, and professional installation services. Now in a showroom that's easy to shop. Visit today at 401 Mercury Drive in Champaign.
Flooring Surfaces, your first stop.
You have money laying all around your house. You just don't know it. And no, I don't mean selling your great-grandma's good china. I mean all the old metal items you don't want to use or get rid of. Don't pay someone to haul it away. Bring it into Max Twin City Recycling and get paid to have it taken off your hands. They love new customers and are more than willing to walk you through their process step by step. Come check them out at 2808 North Lincoln Avenue in Urbana.
Starting it over is what we do at
computer systems to brakes and tires too. At PDR, fixing cars is what they do. Remember, when you turn the key and the car won't run, call 367-9481 or use their dedicated text-only line at 383-0619. Additional information, including repair quotes and online scheduling requests, available from the website at pdrauto.com. Remember, they are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
At Pards in Urbana, the boots just keep on coming. They're known for their huge collection of men's cowboy boots, women's cowgirl boots, kids' boots, and even shoes. If you're searching for top footwear brands, look no further than Pards. They carry a wide variety, including Ariat, Dan Post, Smoky Mountain, Roper, Double H, and more. And if socks or accessories are what you need, they've got all your high-quality essentials. Since 1968, Pards has been serving their customers with high-quality merchandise. And if you haven't been to Pards in a while, a lot has changed. Go check them out just off University Avenue in Urbana.
Habitat for Humanity of Champaign County has been enjoying the 12 days of Christmas with exclusive sales, fun-filled activities, and festive surprises for the whole family. Each day will bring a new way to celebrate the season. Champaign County Restore at 1914 Glen Park Drive in Champaign will have gift wrapping on Thursday, December 19th through Saturday, December 21st. Bring your gifts to get wrapped with labels ready to put on them in exchange for a donation. If you'd like to volunteer to wrap, send a note to outreach@cuhabitat.org.
Unsportsmanlike with Evan Canty and Michelle.
The Ohio State Buckeyes, they have defeated Tennessee 42-17, and Ohio State books a date in the Rose Bowl.
These guys, they love each other, and they're a great representation of Ohio State. Glad that they were able to, for that last game for those seniors, to finish with a win. They are not satisfied at all.
When you're playing a good football team, margins of them, on the right side of it. Doesn't have to look like it did tonight, but it won't look good. Ultimately, we're capable of playing better than we did.
I've been looking forward to this one. I've always wanted to play in the Rose Bowl. It's been a dream of mine my whole life, so it's going to be awesome.
Well, Courtney, the temperature in Columbus was so cold on Saturday night, it actually took Ryan Day off the hot seat. Get it? Get it?
I got it, Aaron.
Unsportsmanlike is on ESPN Radio. We're on ESPN2, Sirius XM Channel 80. I'm Aaron Goldhammer. She's Courtney Cronin. We are in for Evan Canty and Michelle. I have a lot of friends. I was not there, but Courtney, I have a lot of friends that were at Ohio Stadium on Saturday night where they said you could cut the tension with a knife before the game because everybody felt the pressure that was on the coach and the team after blowing that game to Michigan back Thanksgiving weekend. And the tension was released in about 5 minutes when everybody realized how talented Ohio State is, that they were actually going to get the ball in the hands of their receivers. And now, if you talk to Columbus this morning, they have gone from being worried about firing their head coach to everybody thinking again that they should be the favorites to win the national championship.
I have to wonder, and I'll get to the Ryan Day part of all of this, because I do think this is a team, if they play that way, that's a team that can win a national championship. Chip Kelly, where was this 3 weeks ago when they played Michigan?
No
Anybody
idea.
know?
Brain lock. I just, did they forget Jeremiah Smith? Jeremiah Smith's probably the best player in college football. No offense to Travis Hunter and, the other, Ashton Genty. But Jeremiah Smith is an absolute beast. He cannot be covered. Every time they throw him the ball, they gain at least 10 yards. So what they do against Michigan, Courtney? They didn't throw him the ball in the fourth quarter. It was insane.
I was just stunned by that, but also knowing how they could bounce back and not just skate by Tennessee. Put the fear of God in any opponent that's going to play them. That statement that they made with a win where they put up 40 plus points. It not only makes sure that Ryan Day is secure for now and for the future, but that's a team that can go win a national championship. That's a team that can go contend with Oregon. Heck, they did it earlier in the year.
Yeah.
And they lost on a field goal because of a fake, or I guess intentional 12 men on the field penalty that ended up taking off time and stunted Ohio State's ability to get a final playoff to kick a game.
There was poor clock management at the end of that game by Ohio State, but they were right there.
I'll say this. I think Ryan Day, just the way that he talked about this game afterwards in the body language and just kind of that feeling that he probably had going through his body, he had to win this game because you know what we were talking about on Sunday morning? if Ohio State were to lose at home when 30,000 Tennessee fans made the 5-hour drive up from Knoxville to Columbus. We're talking about him not being the head coach at Ohio State anymore. It would have, I'm thankful that Ohio State won because it allowed us to actually talk about the college football playoff games, the system, whether you like it or not, and not talk about a coach that once again failed to win the big game. They've got a huge test ahead of them. They've got a really hard path ahead of them with Oregon coming up next in the quarterfinals. But I think that for the rest of this year, no matter what else happens from here on out, I think that he's safe. He had to win a game in the postseason. Some people say they think he needs to win too. I'm not really on that same line of thinking for a number of different reasons, because I just think in the 12-team expanded playoff, you got in.
Yeah.
B, you were one of the better seeds to get in.
Yeah.
And C, you won a game already in a format that we haven't seen before. You've already accomplished a multitude of things. Now, have you beaten your rival? No. In the 0-4 in the last 4 matchups between Michigan and Ohio State? That's the big problem. But after we left that game, end of November, on rivalry weekend, I said, man, if he doesn't win one game in the college football playoff, which of course would be the first one against Tennessee, this is such a different conversation around this Buckeye team. Now, going forward, can they beat Oregon? I think they can. Can they end up beating Georgia? Can they beat any of these other teams that are vying for a national championship? If they play that way, if they get that version of Will Howard, if they get that version of the defense, if the run game can sustain the way that it did on a very cold night, and of course most of these games are going to be moving indoors they're going to be playing in the Rose Bowl, so they won't even have to worry about the elements here in a couple weeks. But it was impressive. That effort was not, that was not that I didn't expect that, but that sort of beatdown that they put on Tennessee was more than just a win. That was a statement about somebody in the direction that this team is going under that somebody.
Yeah, I thought it was quite a flex for Ohio State. Mm-hmm. Now, Tennessee was missing most of their playmakers. And
a lot of guys got hurt early on.
Yes, and then Dylan Sampson, basically their top running back, SEC Offensive Player of the Year, had no impact on this game whatsoever. So there were some other things that helped Ohio State out along the way. As they were celebrating the blowout win, though, I thought Kirk Herbstreit, I thought this was pretty eye-opening. ESPN college football analyst talking about Ryan Day, the lunatic fringe of the Ohio State fan base, and then also a certain show that airs over on ESPN at 10 o'clock every weekday. Take a listen.
Now, Kirk, how much of this softens the blow of that Michigan loss? More work to do, right, for folks to forgive and forget that one?
I can't speak on behalf of the lunatic fringe. I'm not sure how they operate. The lunatic fringe at Ohio State is as powerful as anywhere in the country.
How big is the fringe?
It used to be 8 to 10. I think it's grown now to about 15 to 20. So I don't know. I'm sure they'll be happy tonight, be fired up about what the Ohio State team did, but God forbid they lose to Oregon. They want to fire them again.
But that's not reality. I mean, that's the thing. When you hear pundits on this network and other places talk about that with certainty, it's nonsense, frankly. I mean, the public doesn't pull the trigger and get rid of the coach.
No.
The administrators do, and they're behind them.
Yeah. First Take tried to fire him. They thought he was done. So I'll be excited to see what they talk about on Monday after this performance. They had him out. They're trying to find replacements. But here he is. He's still got his hat on. He's still coaching.
First Take coming up 10 a.m. Eastern time on ESPN. I'm sure you can check that out. For Herbie, it was more than just a lunatic fringe. Courtney,
there are a lot of people talking about this, so I guess we're all crazy.
Look, they have 3 goals at Ohio State every year, and beating Purdue only does so much for you. He's 67-10, which is an amazing record, but a lot of those wins are against, teams that can't hold a candle to Ohio State's talent level, where I could have coached Ohio State to those victories. Now, I have been a victim of the lunatic fringe before. I'm not a Buckeye fan here, and I'm in Cleveland and do a show in Cleveland. The Buckeye Booster Club here has called advertising partners of ours to try to get me to stop endorsing because I don't root for Ohio State or bleed scarlet and gray. That's craziness. Message board craziness. Doxing Ryan Day's wife yelling at her at a grocery store. Like, that's craziness. Saying we should beat Michigan, win the Big Ten, and win a national championship, and that's the standard. I think that's what the vast majority of Ohio State fans think, not some lunatic fringe.
It wasn't the lunatic fringe that declared that he needs to win this game against Tennessee in order to keep his job. Everybody with a stake in this, and even those who don't and are just fans of college football, understand how it works, understand what the ante has been up to. When you're a place like Ohio State and you finish in the top 5 of the college football playoff rankings, top 5 of the AP top 25 poll, and you haven't been able to win a national championship in the last couple of years, there is always going to be the need to get better and the need to show that you are one of the most dominant teams in college football. Have they been that in the regular season? Yes. Have they been that in the postseason? At the end of the day, raising a championship? No, not really. Not really in the last couple of years. And I think that that's where people stand on this. Like, you guys get so close and then you lose to Georgia. You get so close and you falter here or there. You get so close against your rival, or in some cases you really don't at all. And I think that game really does matter. Now, I wouldn't say that it's lunatics calling for his job or it's just First Take trying to fire him, quote unquote. I think that normal people who understand how it works in college football, that it's a what have you done for me lately sort of business. It's like that in the NFL, but specifically in college football, when you have some wealthy boosters willing to pay a buyout to get somebody else in there, if you don't feel that the direction of the team is going the right way under a certain coach, there's always going to be money to be found to pay somebody to get out. Now, of course, this buyout is, I think, a reported $40 million for Ryan Day.
It's a lot.
Go ask Nebraska. Go ask other teams. They pay these buyouts. And I think
Texas A&M, didn't they pay $75
million to get Jimbo Fisher out of there?
Right.
So
it's wild.
I wonder how Ryan Day feels about this, too, because, of course, it's like his fan base that's now glowing and excited because they're going to the Rose Bowl and going to play Oregon.
Right.
Like, they're happy right now. But this is a fan base that'll turn on you very quickly if you don't deliver there. Now, will the noise be fire Ryan Day, and can you take that noise like with a grain of salt, or are you actually like, wow, this has some real legs to it? Like, it's valid at this point. I don't believe that. I think that he's already done what he's needed to do this season to keep his job.
Yep.
And it's always going to be national championship is what you set your sights on. But in a 12-team format where there's more teams contending for it, I actually think it buys him a little bit more flexibility to not have to go win the big one versus, if it was a 4-team thing, feeling like, okay, we are one of the best 4 teams in the country. We have to get there.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then it's a failure.
I really believe, despite what Herbie said during the broadcast, I believe that if this was not a 12-team playoff year, if it was a 4-team playoff and Ohio State's loss to Michigan eliminated them from the postseason, I think a coaching change at Ohio State would have happened already. Sure. That's number one. And number two is, if you think this one win against Tennessee is going to take Ryan Day off the hot seat, that's not how this works. If they get blown out by Oregon, I still think a coaching change is possible. And I think if he loses to Michigan again for the 5th consecutive year, and oh, by the way, they're spending big NIL bucks on a big quarterback, and that's all part of the narrative that's coming in this rivalry, then I think Ryan Day is absolutely still on the hot seat. The administration doesn't decide whether a coach is on the hot seat or not. Ultimately, the fans and the media decide whether Ryan Day's on the hot seat. And in this case, I can tell you, just being here in the state of Ohio, I don't think he's totally off the hot seat, despite the big win over Tennessee on Saturday night. Ohio State, Oregon next in the Rose Bowl. That is going to be must-see TV on New Year's Day. Coming up next, the Bengals' playoff hopes somehow are still alive. Does Joe Burrow belong in the MVP conversation? And do the Cleveland Browns need to blow it up? We talk about it next as we continue on Sportsmanlike is on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
The NBA on Christmas Day on ESPN Radio. Tip-off for the Spurs and Knicks is at noon Eastern. Followed by the Timberwolves and Mavericks.
Christmas gives away.
Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. A Christmas Day doubleheader on ESPN Radio, ESPN, and on ABC.
I'm David Dennis Jr., hosting ESPN Daily. Every weekday morning, we bring you the best sports story you'll hear all day. Today on ESPN Daily, Ryan McGee breaks down the opening round of the college football playoff and hopes that we all embrace the weirdness that is the college bowl season. That's ESPN Daily. Follow us and listen wherever you get good podcasts.
It's Harry Lyles Jr., today's host of the College Game Day podcast. On the latest episode, Pete Thamel, Heather Dinich, and I talk about initial thoughts on the 12-team playoff, the need for a universal metric strength of schedule, the job statuses of Ryan Day and James Franklin, the heavy cost to show up to a college football playoff game, and the games we're looking forward to in the quarterfinal. Tune into College Game Day wherever you get your podcasts.
This Christmas is different. 5 games.
A Christmas Day gift!
5 superstar matchups.
Splash down, Steph Curry. The legend of LeBron continues to grow.
Including Dunk the Halls, a real-time animated NBA game between the Spurs and the Knicks, and featuring Mickey and friends. Celebrate the NBA on Christmas Day, beginning at noon Eastern on ESPN, ABC, ESPN Plus, and Disney Plus.
Hey guys, it's Kevin Clark from This Is Football Podcast, Momot Productions. This week, Andrew Whitworth joins to talk about the Bills, the best offensive lines in football, how the Bengals operate, and more. That's This Is Football, wherever you get your pods.
This is Freddie and Harry on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Quarterback tier ranking, quarterbacks have to carry their teams the most. We have Jordan Love of Green Bay, Josh Allen of Buffalo, Sam Darnold of Minnesota. That's the third tier. The second tier, Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens and Russell Wilson of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And who's at number 1?
Number 1.
Jalen Hurts of Philadelphia.
Oh, hell no.
Jalen Hurts of Philadelphia. He has to be.
You got me out of my seat.
Check out more from Freddie and Harry weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Greeny.
This is one that I really find curious. This doesn't feel like something that an organization of this magnitude does. It feels beneath them.
Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
'Tis the season for a Monday night showdown in the frozen tundra of Lambeau. Alvin Kamara and the Saints are bringing the Cajun heat to Green Bay.
Breaks the tackle. What a run. First down, New Orleans.
While Jordan Love and the Packers hope to wrap up the night with a win.
Touchdown, Green Bay.
Saints-Packers, tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and ABC.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
Yossi Bosch goes in motion, now goes back in the original direction. Burrow to throw, steps up, throws, and it's caught for the touchdown. T. Higgins with the catch. He tosses the ball way up into the air like a geyser. Burrow is being pulled down and just flung it forward for the touchdown.
I've crossed off the Cincinnati Bengals for the playoffs so many times and then uncrossed them. I've decided these are the cats that have 9 lives. Unsportsmanlike, I'm Aaron Goldhammer. She's Courtney Cronin, ESPN Radio. We are on ESPNU. You can hit us up. The Dr. Pepper call-in line, Courtney, is open. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. I don't know if beating the current state of the Cleveland Browns really deserves a lot of conversation. I will tell you, 7 straight games, Joe Burrow's gone over 250 and has thrown at least 3 touchdown passes. Just based on the counting stats, Courtney Cronin, I think that Joe Burrow has definitely put himself back in the conversation as one of the best QBs in the NFL.
Sure. And I mean, when you take a look at what he did yesterday, 252 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, like he continues to put himself in play at a very high level, rather, because I know that there was this conversation about, are they a playoff team, hopeful, are they not, could they back their way in? They're 7-8 right now.
Yeah.
If they get to 9 wins, do we think that they get the 7 seed? I'm still a little bit skeptical of that, but if there's any quarterback that you'd want to like give your team a chance down the stretch after your defense effectively torpedoed the season early on because of how poorly they played, it would end up being Joe Burrow. And I mean, you can take a look at like his passing numbers, 39 passing touchdowns, most in the NFL this season. The yards per game, 282 more or less. The QBR, 74. His completion percentage is top 6. Those are MVP level numbers. Those are numbers that when you take a look at the quarterbacks who are in that mix, like the real contenders. So Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and then Joe Burrow. And then, of course, there's the non-quarterbacks like a Saquon Barkley, a Derrick Henry that are in the mix as well. Burrow deserves to be there as much as anybody else. It's not his fault entirely that he's on a bad team or a team that you use bad loosely here because they very well could be vying for a playoff spot if they win their next 2, and they're going to need some luck to happen elsewhere in order for a couple other teams to lose to get them in. But in a year where they could have thrown in the towel, in a year where they could have been like, forget this, Jamar Chase isn't happy, T. Higgins isn't happy,
draft
defense is awful, start thinking about 2025. That's like, his house got broken into a few weeks ago. Like, he's had a lot going on, things that are completely out of his control. Yet he's playing some of the best football that we've seen him play. And I think for that reason alone, you put a quarterback, usually you find an MVP on a team that is going to the postseason. Even if they don't get there, I still think he deserves to be in the mix.
Yeah, deserves to get votes. I think, first of all, they've got to do something about their slow starts. Like losing that game to New England back the first week of the season. Right now for them,
last couple years they've been doing that.
It's the difference between making and missing the playoffs, and it's unacceptable. The other thing, the offseason dysfunction, Courtney, in both Dallas, San Francisco, Cincinnati, I think it played a role in all these teams struggling. I mean, you tell me your read.
I agree with that.
Brandon Ayuk's situation, T. Higgins' situation, Jamar Chase's situation, like all of those things I think just affect the way a team prepares. It felt like once they got over all that drama, the Bengals had one of the 3 best offenses in the NFL, have a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. It just, I think they had trouble getting over all of the distractions. And those were some self-inflicted wounds because a lot of teams would just sign Jamar Chase to a giant contract because he's a top 2 wide receiver in the NFL. Why would you want to break him and Joe Burrow up ever under any circumstances?
Well, think about, throw the Dallas Cowboys in there, too. Another team that is not going to the postseason. They were eliminated last night in the win that they had over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There's something to be said about self-created dysfunction that, yes, you should be good enough to rise above whatever, to be able to snap into it and, hit the ground running when the regular season starts. That's in theory, that's not in reality. Yeah. And what we've seen this past off season with teams that had these big contract holdouts that don't end up either don't get remedied or they get remedied at the 11th hour, like Dak Prescott signing his contract on the way to the stadium for week 1 in Cleveland. It's why drag those things out when you know how difficult it is to play in the NFL and also to sustain winning. Nobody knows that more than the San Francisco 49ers, who had a host of these themselves. You mentioned Brandon Ayuk. Of course, there was Trent Williams in there. In dealing with some of the other injuries that they had, it feels like you can never really get off the ground. That's how I felt about the Cincinnati Bengals from the very start. And it isn't just the fact that, Lou Anarumo and this defense, they've taken a step back this year. Some of that's injury related. Some of that I think is just like regression in play. But if are we not sure that this is going to end up being the same thing this offseason? Did you see the thing that was floated a couple weeks ago that somebody suggested in speaking with people around the league that the Cincinnati Bengals should actually trade Jamar Chase because they know that ownership group doesn't want to dole out top dollar for a receiver? Like, I get it.
Come on.
I truly understand the logic behind that, but you also just paid Joe Burrow.
Right.
If you trade Jamar Chase, then you're not going to have T. Higgins here next year. Yeah. Mike Gesicki's gone. So Andre Yoshivas is your best receiver returning. Like, that's self-sabotage. And it feels like a lot of these teams that have went through the same thing that the Bengals went through in the preseason, where Joe Burrow coming off the wrist surgery, finally healthy, ready to go, and then he doesn't have his top weapon there. And how many times have we heard this season? Oh, we're not on the same page. And we've heard receivers and quarterbacks talking about that, like week 10 and onwards. It isn't something that you just seamlessly fix. All right, everybody's in camp. Okay, we've had a couple games together. It's fine.
Right.
That's something that you have to build over time. And
chemistry is real.
I don't
it's
believe
real
that like you should ever put yourself in a situation where you don't have the utmost time to do that.
Yeah, and I think also, I mean, Burrow and Chase have been doing this, to your point, Courtney, they've been doing it since college, that they've been building that chemistry up with each other. All right, on the Browns, just for a second, I have a notable, famous Browns fan. I'm not going to reveal who it is, but I will name drop that I have famous people in my cell phone, who sent me this text yesterday. This was 1:37 p.m. for a 1 o'clock game. First time in my life that I willingly put on a Christmas movie over watching them today. I'm never in that class, never. I hate when people say they're not going to watch, but it's that bad. They have lost us all. Folks, the Dorian Thompson-Robinson era is about as bad as we all thought in his career, Courtney. 1 touchdown, 9 interceptions. You've watched a lot of bad quarterbacks. Any advice for Browns fans where they're at right now?
I mean, just don't watch Love Actually. Put on a good Christmas movie.
Yeah. Elf, maybe something on Disney Plus.
Something happy.
Yeah, would be
something to make you forget about that loss.
Be a better option than that. All right. Did you know it's Festivus today? The airing of the grievances is next on Unsportsmanlike on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6759. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6759. That's 800-575-6759. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
There's a new showroom at Flooring Surfaces in Champaign. Choose your next floor in an incredible space filled with beautiful hardwoods, durable waterproof vinyl, elegant porcelain tiles, and the finest carpets in Central Illinois. Find inspiration around every corner. And when you need help, Flooring Surfaces offers free measuring, free design assistance, and expert advice. Visit Flooring Surfaces today at 401 Mercury Drive in Champaign.
Flooring Surfaces, your first stop.
Get the roof your home deserves by Roof Doctors, your residential roofing specialist that has always offered the best warranties in the industry, like our non-prorated 50-year warranty. Our customers love that we are family-owned and locally operated. We make our customer needs our top priority. With over 30 years experience and the best customer service, give Roof Doctors a call today for your free estimate at 328-7529. In your community and for your community, Roof Doctors.
Hi, this is Troy Lands from Lands Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. With colder temperatures here, let's make sure your heating system is operating at its best. At Lands, you can join our comfort family and get exclusive savings and support to keep your heating system in tip-top shape this winter and all year round. Our plans offer tune-ups, discounts on repair, and even lifetime system enhancements. Plus, we back up our equipment with labor warranty when we install it. Find out more about our comfort family maintenance plans at landsinc.com. I'm Troy Lands, and you can count on my company because you can count on me.
Champaign County Crime Stoppers has been working to keep our neighborhoods safe since 1986, but we've never done it alone. We rely on the generous support of those that recognize Crime Stoppers as an investment in a safer community for our friends, our family, and our collective future. Your generous support directly funds cash rewards for anonymous tips that lead to arrests. Join us by making a tax-deductible donation today that leads to a brighter, safer tomorrow. Donate now at ChampaignCountyCrimeStoppers.org.
When you're buying a battery, it's important to look beyond just the price and make sure you're buying a quality battery. So when you're buying one from the big box store, make sure you ask the question, what's the date on this battery? Is it dependable? Sometimes the big box stores have batteries that have been sitting on the shelf for years. Or you can just come to Interstate Batteries, outrageously dependable, and buy your battery from the people who only do batteries. Interstate Batteries at 2504 North Madison, Champaign, way out there, but totally worth the drive. How much is dependable worth to you? Interstate Batteries open 6 days a week.
Illinois basketball star Merez Johnson on needing some help from Sarah Champagne and Ben Quattrone.
I was going back home for a weekend and I was going to be downtown. I text Ben, I like, can I get a different car, go to Chicago? And I got something small, a nice Buick, something that was nice. I got my car back when I came. It was quick. Ben and Sarah Champagne took care of me.
And Sarah Champagne would do that for you too. Learn more at sarahchampagne.com. That's SERRA champagne.com.
This is Unsportsmanlike on ESPN Radio and on ESPNU.
The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
Unsportsmanlike is on ESPNU. We are on ESPN Radio. We're on Sirius XM Channel 80. The opportunity for you to air the grievances to kick off Festivus today is at 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. That's the Dr. Pepper call-in line. Now, Courtney Cronin, I'm Aaron Goldhammer. I think we've got to start with an explanation of what Festivus is, because you said to me that you don't have a feel for Festivus? How is that possible? You're an American.
I've never watched Seinfeld, and I know that that's like, whoa, like as a sports writer, there's like two things you can't admit: that you don't like Bruce Springsteen's music and that you've never seen Seinfeld. Well, I'm a byproduct of the early 90s. Sue me if that's like an unpopular
What did your
opinion,
parents
but
not let you watch Seinfeld? Did you not have a television?
I wasn't
like
a sitcom
what's wrong?
person. I was not a sitcom person. I didn't watch. I'm trying to think of the shows that I didn't watch in the 90s. Didn't watch Friends. Didn't watch Frasier. Didn't watch Mad About You.
What were you watching? You were watching the Bears in the 90s? They had terrible quarterbacks.
No, actually, my
then.
parents wouldn't take us to games because the team was so bad. Well, I was watching Rocko's Modern Life, Ren and Stimpy, the Rugrats,
a lot of
Are You Afraid
Nickelodeon.
of the Dark,
Uh-huh.
Goosebumps. Yeah, a lot of Nickelodeon. I was a byproduct of the 90s, and I don't know. I didn't watch Seinfeld. I never really got into it over the years. Like, yes, I obviously know what it is. I know it's a show about nothing. Like, I'm not dumb, but like, I just don't understand the whole Festivus thing. I hear we do it every year. Everybody airs grievances. Pat does this every single day at 7:45 Eastern time. So
he doesn't have to wait.
I don't know how different this
That's
is
a
than
good
what
point.
we usually have on this show.
Excellent point. So Festivus is a holiday in part created by Seinfeld to combat the commercialism of Christmas. It's December 23rd every year. There's the Festivus poll. There's the Festivus dinner. But Festivus, as you heard, George Costanza's dad explain at the beginning of the clip there, it begins with the airing of grievances. And so, Courtney, I will hand it off to you. Give all of us the opportunity to air some grievances, and you can air yours if you'd like at 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Let's see if you understand the assignment, Courtney. It's time for you to air some grievances.
Do I get any like NFL films music during this? Or is it just like I have to be silent? Pat, can you help me out here?
Shana, dun, 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 dun. There we go. There
I
it
don't
is.
feel like I can like really like lean into the things that annoy the hell out of me unless I have some good theme music with me. So I thought about this, and I think that we go through this every Saturday and Sunday when we watch college football to watching the pro game. I really don't like the discrepancies in rules between college football and the NFL. So like pass interference, having 1 foot in versus 2 feet in, the way that defensive backs can play at the college level and get away with certain things versus what they can do at the NFL level. That's probably my biggest sports grievance currently. Why not have the same rules from both sports? Like, I don't understand the logic for it, and nobody can really explain this to me. The amount of times I've asked, why are the rules not uniform? Because would that not help the product by the time these college football players are ready to play in the NFL? Would it not help them have a much more easy transition into the league? Obviously, it's going to be more difficult because the talent level and the gap in talent level shrinks a little bit when you get to the pros. But why are the rules different? Like, I just, certain things don't make sense to me. And it always strikes me too, like 2-minute timeout versus the 2-minute warning. If they're effectively the same thing, can you not call them the same thing?
No,
I don't get it.
I think the NFL has like a copyright on 2-minute warning, which is why college football is not
so
using
dumb.
it. I want to agree.
So dumb.
Do you have any of these friends in your life that when your team loses, they like to text you and gloat? Like,
Yes, of course. I think everybody has friends that do that.
No, those aren't friends. Like, when it's a real brutal, tough loss. I root for the Denver Broncos. Rough go on Thursday Night Football over the Chargers. I didn't need to see 5 texts from a bunch of Giant and Jet fans rubbing it in. You guys don't even root for the Chargers. Then my wife had some of this happening after Indiana lost to Notre Dame on Indiana had a great year. Like, don't rub it in. It makes you feel better because someone else's team. That's a bad friend.
Have you met Pat Costello? Pat is number one on that, doing that stuff.
Yeah, but he's like a Philly fan, so that's like par for the course.
It's obnoxious. It's just
I will say when it's a team, when it's a fan of a bad team. So you saying, Aaron, you have Jets and Giants friends.
Yes.
Who are fans of those teams.
Yes.
Those people coming out of the woodwork and speaking out of the side of their neck on that.
How dare
when you can't hold, like, if it was a team of a winning franchise, a team of a functional franchise, not a dysfunctional one, I guess I could sort of understand it. It's still kind of a jerk move, but at least it'd be like, oh, well, you could get to this level if you do X, Y, and Z. When it's a fan of a bunch of losers, frankly, it doesn't hold any weight. Now, if you go look at my Instagram right now, I posted a series of photos from the Indiana game on Friday, and I wrote like hell of a run or something.
Yeah.
Some of the comments, because I have a public Instagram, some of the comments on there are just like, hell of a run? Where did you run to? What a terrible season. Frauds, etc. I'm like, I just wanted to have a good time with my family and friends at this game. Can you just let me be?
No, the Pat Costellos of the world.
That's the truth. They
want to make sure that you never have a good time doing anything, and they're going to rub it right in your face when your team loses. Airing of the grievances continues. You want to do it on the phones, you can. 888-SAY-ESPN, but let's hand things off to Pat Costello, who I imagine has a lot of grievances to air.
The thing is, though, this is going to be tomorrow's I'm Over It. So, Pat, you're really going to have to think extra hard to make sure that you bring it tomorrow since you're tapping into additional material.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not on the show tomorrow, so I don't have to worry about it. No, Aaron, I have an issue with something that you said earlier.
Yep.
We were talking about hats and gear and stuff like that, and you said that it's unacceptable to wear a hat of like an opposing team. If you're not a fan of that team, you can't wear a hat. That's ridiculous.
Correct. There's one exception.
This stemmed from something. Who was wearing it earlier?
There was a video of Saquon Barkley wearing
a Colorado Rockies hat.
And
I was
that
like,
was
Saquon.
a throwback Colorado Rockies hat, right? With like the purple and the old logo from the 90s.
Yeah.
Pretty cool logo.
I hate to sound like Mad Dog Russo. Do you think Saquon Barkley can name one player on the Colorado Rockies?
Oh, my God.
I bet
You're one
not.
of those guys. Here's my thing on that. Like, I actually have an example of this. So DJ Moore, Chicago Bears wide receiver, has thrown out the pitch at both the Cubs game and the White Sox game.
Okay.
And he was asked, like, early on, like, who's your team? What's your affiliation? And I don't know if he's a big baseball guy or not, but he's like, I just like to wear the hats. I'm a Cubs fan. I grew up going to games. I grew up, on the north side. I cannot argue with you that the White Sox logo is one of the most badass logos in sports. And the White Sox hat, whether you're doing it in a color, whether you're doing the traditional black and white, there is no better accessory, if you want to call it that, for your outfit than that. And you don't have to be a fan of the team to wear it. Now, obviously, as a Cubs fan, I can't wear that, but could I fault somebody who's not for thinking that it adds a nice touch to their outfit? No, not in the slightest.
I want to shout out my guy, Justin Cooper, who I work with at ESPN Cleveland, covers the Browns for us every day. Courtney, he wears San Diego Padre hats and Arizona
the old one, the brown and yellow?
Arizona Diamondbacks, Florida Marlins. Like, these are teams that you don't root for. You don't put that gear on your body. You don't put it on. Now,
yeah,
the one
but
exception.
Baseball has cool, like those old school baseball logos. Did you not collect the hats, the little Sunday hats when you were growing up?
I collected, the ice cream things. But again, that's when you're a little kid. My one exception is if the team is no longer in business, like Montreal Expos gear is fine for everybody. Okay. Obviously, that team, they're in Washington now. They go by a different name. You can wear that. But I'm as somebody who, roots for the Guardians and the Rockies, like I'm not going to rock Detroit Tigers gear. Sorry, it's just not happening. Airing of the grievances continues. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. You can hit us up the Dr. Pepper call-in line. Mark is listening in Illinois on Sirius XM. Happy Festivus, Mark.
Hey, happy Festivus to you guys, too. I appreciate you taking my call. Here's my big grievance, big sports grievance this year. My big sports grievance is this. In the early part of the NFL season, preseason, and maybe the first third of the NFL regular season, all ESPN talked about was the New York Jets. I'm like, here's Kansas City on the precipice of something that's never done. Baltimore and Buffalo balling out, and these guys are talking about the New York Jets.
Mark. Do you think that we know how to produce high-quality sports programming here at ESPN that people want to watch? Do you trust the producers here? Do you?
I do.
We're for sports fans anytime, anywhere, and our job isn't to, give every team equal time. Our job is to talk about the topics that everybody else wants to talk about. You know why we talk about the Jets and the Cowboys? Because you guys want to hear about the Jets and the Cowboys. Don't blame us.
Well, you know what they say, Aaron, sex sells. And I feel like that follows suit with the New York Jets because they had a tie all of us in to what the preseason expectations were going to be. Everyone wanted to see whether Aaron Rodgers could last more than 4 plays. Everybody wanted to see whether this team was going to actually contend for the postseason. Now, the drama within all of that, the reason we still talk about them is because they have the longest postseason streak without being in the playoffs in, I think, the 4 major men's sports.
Yeah.
So, yeah, of course we're going to be talking about that. But I understand his point. Like, I get why he's upset about it because it's a team that earns airtime that hasn't done anything to actually earn that airtime and justify why we talk about them
We talk about the Cowboys a lot because they're team that moves the needle. There are certain athletes, LeBron, the Lakers, really move the needle. That's why we talk about them more than anybody else. And by the way, we talk about the Kansas City Chiefs on the network plenty. Okay, we want more.
They actually win, unlike some of the other teams that you mentioned, the Lakers, the Cowboys, and of course the Jets. The Chiefs actually win games. So they deserve to be talked about, even though much to the chagrin of some people who think that Patrick Mahomes fakes injuries and that this team is just inevitably going to win another Super Bowl. But I get it. I get that logic.
They are one of the luckiest teams, Courtney, I've ever seen in the history of my life, and I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl. 888-SAY-ESPN, you want to continue airing grievances, we'll give you the opportunity to do that. And a happy Festivus to all of you. Happy Festivus to Aaron Dolan, who will help us with some bets. From ESPN Bet, she's next. I'm Aaron Goldhammer. Courtney Cronin, we're in for Evan Canty and Michelle on Unsportsmanlike on ESPN Radio and on ESPNU.
It's bowl season on ESPN Radio. 25 bowl games, including the college football playoff and national championship game. Touchdown! Electricity, the atmosphere. Coverage continues tomorrow with the Hawaii Bowl at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds, which could be life-changing. I mean, you could put that money towards concert tickets for your daughter to see that singer who sings about painful breakups. And one song will inspire your little beauty to break up with that beast she's dating, Brian. Instead, she'll date someone who's nice and worthy of her love, not someone who addresses you and your spouse as bro. And it's all because you could save money switching at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
At the Home Depot, we know Saturdays are for college football. That's why we have everything you need to never miss a play. Like Bear Dynasty interior paint, their most durable one-coat hide paint ever. From a team color statement wall to a fan cave, complete with a mural honoring Nick Saban's 17-year dynasty.
Hey, I like that idea.
Nothing beats Bear Dynasty Interior Paint. It's everything you need all in one can.
Defend your game time with Bear and the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Valid only when tended to colors from the Bear Dynasty and Marquee Interior One-Coat Hide Color Collection.
Illinois basketball season is underway. Single game tickets to see your Fighting Illini at State Farm Center are on sale now at fightingillini.com. Great seats are still available. Lock in your tickets for big games against Big Ten opponents before they're gone. Don't miss your chance to see the winningest team in the Big Ten Conference over the last 5 years. Be part of the atmosphere and get tickets at fightingillini.com.
Hello, my name is Amber Oberheim, and I am a family nurse practitioner at OSF Healthcare in Monticello. The United States appears to be on track to experience a typical respiratory virus season this year. The CDC is predicting that combined peak hospitalizations from COVID-19, influenza, and RSV this fall and winter will be similar to or lower than last year. The best way that you can protect yourself from the flu is to make sure that you get vaccinated every year. All Americans ages 6 months and older are recommended to get a flu shot. Younger children and older adults are most at risk of serious illness from the flu. Another effective way to prevent respiratory illness is to make sure that you have excellent hand washing. If you do start feeling ill, I recommend that you stay home to prevent infecting others and reach out to your healthcare provider to get tested. COVID-19 and the flu can present similarly, and it's important to make sure that you have the right treatment options available. At OSF Healthcare, we're doing even more to help you be the healthiest you. Learn more at osfhealthcare.org.
So when was the last time you saw a best deal guarantee?
You mean a promise that actually held up?
Right.
That some unknown online entity didn't want you to log in and download a code and then re-verify as you join some club?
Drives you nuts, I know.
And then once you purchase that set of steak knives...
Well, Dick Van Dyke Appliance World is a lot simpler. You find a verified great deal and they beat it. Just show them the deal you saw. A newspaper clipping or the online cart price will do, and then you're good.
At Dick Van Dyke Appliance World, it's one of those instances where you see a best deal guarantee and...
you get the best deal.
This is Dennis Rieken, chairman of Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. Our exclusive 10-year protection plan comes free with most appliance purchases. Whether it's a GE, Whirlpool, Frigidaire, Bosch, or any of our 30 brands, I guarantee we will beat any competitor's deal. Wow!
Big Van Dyke Appliance World. When you buy from us, you get the whole store.
Thank you for choosing 2 Men in a Truck. How may I help you?
Hi, I have a strange question. I need help getting my holiday decorations from storage, and then I need to rearrange my furniture for our upcoming parties. Can you guys do that?
Oh, that's not strange at all. 2 Men in a Truck has completed over 10 million moves. We can deliver your decorations right to your doorstep. And of course, our moving experts can help rearrange your furniture for your holiday gatherings.
Not sure how your move is going to work? Go to 2meninatruck.com for your free estimate.
When you're looking for your next vehicle, be sure to stop at Sarah Champagne and listen to Merez.
Hi, I'm Merez Johnson Jr., power forward for the University of Illinois basketball team. The only place you should shop for your next vehicle is Sarah Champagne, home of Honda, BMW, Buick GMC, and Subaru. Why? Because they treat you like family every time. Take it from me, Merez Johnson Jr. Sarah Champagne will be the last dealership you will ever work with.
Learn more at sarahchampagne.com. That's SERRA champagne.com.
You have money laying all around your house. You just don't know it. And no, I don't mean selling your great-grandma's good china. I mean all the old metal items you don't want to use or get rid of. Don't pay someone to haul it away. Bring it into Max Twin City Recycling and get paid to have it taken off your hands. They love new customers and are more than willing to walk you through their process step by step. Come check them out at 2808 North Lincoln Avenue in Urbana.
Starting it over is what we do at Max Twin City Recycling.
But right now we have the Packers laying 14.5 points at home and a total at 42.5. I'm more inclined to lay the points with the Green Bay Packers for just obvious reasons. They're the better team. They're playing at home. I don't trust the Saints offense to do much against this defense. And then from a betting perspective, the Saints are 3-14, 3-14 against the number in primetime games over the last 5 years, which is the worst mark in the NFL. Meanwhile, for the Packers, they're 21-11 against the number in primetime games under Matt LaFleur, which is the most covered in the NFL in that span. So we have two competing trends, of course. And then, like I mentioned, I don't think we need to get into why the Green Bay Packers are necessarily the best team. But with betting, obviously it comes down to just numbers, and laying 14.5 points is just absolutely disgusting. So it's more of a lean for me. Maybe you could look at the Packers in the first half if you think they slow it down in the second half of the game. And then as for that total, I'm going to go under 42.5 points. On the Saints side of things, they're 4-1 right now over the last 5 games. To the under, they scored 20 or fewer in 4 of those 5. We also know the cold temperatures, like you mentioned, Courtney, so they could potentially struggle in that. And then on the Packers side of things, they put up 30 or more points in 4 straight games, with their team total sitting around 28.5. But I don't think they're necessarily going to need to put up 30 or more points in this game to beat this team. So I lean towards playing the points with the Packers, although it feels gross, and I know the public is going to be all over them, and I would go under 42.5 points.
Erin Dolan took the 5th on her Eagles, but she is talking about bets with us on Unsportsmanlike on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and ESPNU. All right, let's talk player props, and I would imagine the weather has to play a role in the way you think this game might go from a player prop perspective, Erin, as well.
Absolutely. I mean, we take into account all the external factors as well at this point in the season, given that it's December. But my favorite bet of the day for this game is going to be Jordan Love to go under 29.5 passing attempts. He's hit under this mark in 3 of 4 games, of the last 4 games. And the team has been relying heavily on Josh Jacobs in recent weeks. I mean, he scored 5 touchdowns and 9 touchdowns in the last 5 games. And we know the Saints were 28th against the run. So I don't think Love is necessarily going to have to be explosive in this game, and they could lean more on the run game. As well as if they go up big in the first half, let's say, they're going to slow the game down and really try to dominate time of possession, which they've done all season compared to the Saints that are ranked 28th in time of possession. So I don't think Jordan Love is, again, going to need to be explosive. So go under 29.5 passing attempts. Also looking at Blake Groupie over 4.5 kicking points. That's on the Saints side of things. They've scored 20 or fewer points in 4 of the last 5 games. Like I mentioned, the offense has been great, but I will say he's hit over this mark in 5 of the last 6 games. So bad teams to me scream, okay, let's just look at the kicker and some of his props. So over 4.5 kicking points for him. And then looking at Kendry Miller, anytime touchdowns. So the opportunity should be there with Alvin Kamara out with a groin injury. He has 1 touchdown in 4 games played this season, but and also I'm well aware the Green Bay Packers defense against the run is good. I just think if anybody on that team is going to score, it would be Miller anytime touchdown. So those are 3 player props that I like, with Jordan Love under passing attempts as the best bet.
All right, so we've got 2 games on Christmas Day, 48 hours away. The Chiefs go on the road to play the Steelers, and the Baltimore Ravens are on the road playing the Houston Texans. So there's a lot at stake here just in terms of these 2 AFC North teams playing in games on opposite sides. But what do you like? Like, what should we be looking at in terms of wagering for both of these matchups?
So right now, the Kansas City Chiefs are laying 2.5 points against the Steelers, totaled at 42.5. I'm leaning towards the Pittsburgh Steelers here if George Pickens ends up playing. If he doesn't, then I'm probably going to like the Chiefs side a little bit better here. Of course, it depends when you're betting this and the number that you're getting it at. But with the Pittsburgh Steelers, they are so incredibly good as a dog. They're also back home, coming off 2 pretty bad performances. Out of all 4 of the teams that are playing on Christmas, I do think the Steelers technically would be the most tired, considering they just played Baltimore as well as Philly. But this is just one of those games where I'm like, the Kansas City Chiefs, I wouldn't be surprised if they finally lost the game. I know we've been saying it each and every week, but sometimes with these weird wonky schedules, just playing on Saturday, now playing on Wednesday, also factoring in the fact that they're traveling. By all means, the Chiefs are the better team, but I would take the 2.5 points with the Steelers right now if I had to bet that. And then as for the Ravens-Texans, Ravens are laying 4 points on the road, total at 46.5. I would lay the points with the Baltimore Ravens. They're the better team. The Houston Texans offense hasn't been able to do much this entire season. They've really underperformed in my eyes. And I just think the Baltimore Ravens, their pass defense has gotten so much better in the last couple of weeks that that's something that people have been overlooking. So I think the Ravens have been rolling and should roll against the Houston Texans as well. So right now, again, leaning with the Pittsburgh Steelers at plus 2.5, pending the George Pickens. And then with the Baltimore Ravens, I would lay the 4 points.
Erin Dolan, Dolan Out Winners with us. She is from ESPN Bet, joining us on Unsportsmanlike on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. All right, every Christmas I have a tradition, Erin, of betting the player to score the most points in the NBA on Christmas Day. Can you look at the options and give me a play here on ESPN Bet who you like for this time around?
Yes. So the favorite right now in that market for top point scorer on Christmas Day is Luka, plus 550. Right behind him is Jason Tatum and Jokic at plus 700. And then everybody else is 8-1 or less. or greater, I should say. I'm going to look at Nikola Jokic in this spot at plus 700. If you look back to last Christmas, he dropped 41 points in 44 minutes of action. That, of course, is because they won by 3 points in overtime. But he's currently averaging 31 points per game, which is the second best mark in the league. Going against the Suns team, that's 24th in defensive rating. And again, last Christmas, played this exact team, was able to drop 41 points. So I think he could have a big game on Christmas Day, and it's obviously better than taking the favorite in this market. So I think this is a fun one. It's something that's available right now on ESPN Bet if you're interested. But, just some fun markets that they'll have up for Christmas Day. So whether you're with your family, not with your family, doing whatever you do on Christmas Day, there's some fun things that you can bet on the app.
All right, so we got Golden State and Los Angeles on Christmas Day. Steph Curry versus LeBron, Warriors, Lakers. It's a staple of these recent Christmas Day games within the last decade or so. What do you like in this game?
I'm going to lean towards the Lakers in this spot. They're plus 4.5. They've won 3 straight games as an underdog so far this season. Both these teams are good, and of course, when it's Christmas Day, it feels like everyone's going to get up, but there's not obviously much travel involved or anything like that. So if LeBron and AD are playing and they're both going to end up being healthy, I think you have to take the points at plus 4.5 just to have those in your back pocket. But like you said, it's always a fun one that people watch on Christmas Day. But I'll take the dogs here with the Lakers at 4.5.
I'm on the Eagles shop. Do you want the midnight green Tanner McKee, or do you want the white one? I'll order you one. Happy holidays.
How much? My closet is filled with Eagles gear, and I've been trying not to get excited, and this is why I don't get excited during the season. These things happen.
Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate the time.
Thanks, guys. Happy holidays.
That's Erin Dolan, ESPN Bet analyst. She's the only person in the world that can legitimately complain about a 12-3 team. This is the weirdest 12-3 team, Courtney, in NFL history, the Eagles are.
I mean, are you going to get a Tanner McKee jersey considering you disrespected his name by calling him Trey McBride earlier? I think
Trey McBride is a quarterback somewhere. It's just, you can't, what do you, look, I know a lot about football. You can't expect me to know everybody's third quarterback on the spot, Courtney.
I mean, I think now you're going to have to. I mean, if you almost bought it for, and no, he's not. He's a tight end for the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, he's a tight end?
Yeah.
Oh, that just makes matters even worse.
So much better.
Enough of me talking. I think it's time for us to air more grievances. At 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Plus, is practicing in a freezer really going to make a difference for the Saints? We talk about it on Sportsmanlike. Aaron Goldhammer, Courtney Cronin on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
The NBA on Christmas Day on ESPN Radio. Tip-off for the Spurs and Knicks is at noon Eastern. Followed by the Timberwolves and Mavericks.
Christmas gets away.
Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. A Christmas Day doubleheader on ESPN Radio, ESPN, and on ABC.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6759. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6759. That's 800-575-6759. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Hey, where are you headed?
To Kelsey Furniture in Tuscola.
What do they have there?
What don't they have there? Living room furniture, benches, chests, love seats, sectionals, tables, bedroom sets, hutches, nightstands, end tables, cabinets, mirrors, stools, clocks, lamps, pillows, rugs, desks, media consoles, patio furniture, Tempur-Pedic mattresses, and more.
So, everything.
Yeah, probably could have just said that.
Kelsey Furniture, quality for less. Looking for the perfect pair of boots? Come on down to Pard's Western Shop in Urbana. With an amazing selection that fits every style, Pard's has the perfect pair waiting for you the next time you're hitting the rodeo or stepping out in style. They've got great deals and sale prices on men's cowboy boots, girls' cowgirl boots, and kids' boots. And their friendly staff will make sure you leave with the boots you love. Pard's Western Shop, serving its customers with high-quality merchandise since 1968. Go see them today at 306 North Maple Street in Urbana.
This is Freddie and Harry.
I just think right now, the way that Josh Allen is playing and protecting the football and also making sure that he makes the right play, not the heroic play every time that he's under center and he's touching the football, I think it has really benefited this football team. And a lot of people before the season did not believe that the Bills and Josh Allen would be in this space because of the exit of Stephon Diggs.
Check out more from Freddie and Harry weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Central Division rivals clash on ESPN Hockey Night. Dallas.
Definitely a playoff team. There's no question about it.
And its stars.
Duchesne scores! Odger kept it out! Jason Robertson!
Travel to the Windy City to face Connor Bedard and the Blackhawks.
He's the heartbeat of this team. Bedard with a shot. He scores!
That's hockey. ESPN Hockey Night presented by Expedia. Stars Blackhawks at 8:30 Eastern. Sunday on ESPN.
Adam Schefter here with Vivid Seats. We've got some late-breaking news coming out of the stands. According to multiple sources, Vivid Seats fans are scoring rewards on every purchase and at a rapid pace. Obviously, these rewards are a game-changer. Coupled with their MVP-worthy ticket selection, why get tickets anywhere else? Don't drop the ball this season. Shop with Vivid Seats and earn rewards on every ticket. And as the official ticketing partner of ESPN, Vivid Seats is offering you $20 off your first $200 ticket purchase with code Schefter. That's code Schefter.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hey, I'm Brett Podolsky, co-founder of The Farmer's Dog. We make fresh food for dogs. We started the company when we saw what a huge difference it made in my own dog, Jada, when she stopped eating ultra-processed kibble and started eating fresh, whole food. The Farmer's Dog food isn't fancy. It's just real food delivered to your door in pre-portioned packs. It's better for them and easier for you.
Get 50% off your first box at thefarmersdog.com/trial50. That's thefarmersdog.com/trial50.
Unsportsmanlike with Evan Canty and Michelle.
The biggest question for tonight's Monday night game, will practicing in a freezer actually make a difference for the New Orleans Saints? Our Monday Night Football preview on Unsportsmanlike on ESPN Radio and ESPNU is brought to you by our friends at Progressive Insurance. I'm Aaron Goldhammer. She is Courtney Cronin. Courtney, can you please explain, the Saints have, they can't simulate Lambeau Field, so they're in a they're in a giant cafeteria freezer somewhere trying to get ready for this game?
So that is accurate. Yes, on the surface, it's a little out there, but there's a rhyme and a reason to everything in coaching, whether you agree with it or not. So Andrew Janocko, who's he's the quarterbacks coach for the New Orleans Saints, got this idea basically from the movie Cool Runnings. And it's a situation where they were like, how do we simulate the cold in the environment? Because I can tell you, I'm not in Green Bay. I'm in Chicago. I'll be up in Green Bay next weekend. It's cold everywhere in the Midwest. It's awful.
Yeah, sure.
If you're in New Orleans, it's probably like 65 degrees in the very least. So Andrew Janocko, the quarterback's coach, decided to take the quarterbacks, not Derek Carr, but Jake Haener and Spencer Rattler, into the freezer to run through some plays on Saturday during the team's walkthrough. And he said that, like, he found the idea, or he came up with the idea to do this after watching Cool Runnings, because there's a character in the movie that sits in an ice cream truck to prepare for the cold conditions for the bobsledding that they did in the Olympics.
Yes.
It's the ingenuity of it, I think you really have to appreciate, but this made me have more questions than answers about how you execute this. So I worked in the food service industry throughout high school. I know my way around a walk-in freezer pretty well.
Yep.
There's a lot of stuff in there, Aaron. There's ice, first and foremost.
Sure.
There's food, there's frozen meats, there's frozen vegetables, there's ice cream, there's desserts. I don't know if that's A, sanitary, B, if there's enough room to really move around. So if you're standing in there and if you're just reading through the script more or less, trying to get the plays out, because I will say, this is an underrated part of this. Speaking when it's cold and being able to get a play call out, harder than it looks. And I say this from experience. So I did sideline for ESPN Radio's national broadcast of Eagles-Steelers 2 weeks ago in Philadelphia. It wasn't as cold as it's going to be in Green Bay, but as I'm on the sideline, doing my reports, I'm really thinking, wow, I really have to enunciate and get the words out because I think my brain's frozen right now. And I imagine for a quarterback, when you're trying to yell out a lengthy play call that has a lot of different verbiage in it, and if you're not used to doing that when it's -10 real field temperatures, then that's going to be a pretty difficult thing to do. Now, you can't truly simulate all of that in a freezer, but I don't know any other way to do it than what they did on Saturday with the walkthrough and having them at least attempt.
I'm glad they're trying stuff, Courtney, and shout out to Janocko and Spencer Rattler trying to do this and figure this out. But I'm sorry. If the cold is already so deeply ingrained in your head that you're thinking about it to the point that you're going into some walk-in freezer to learn how to call plays, you're not going to end up. The way you get over the cold is by understanding that the other team has to play in it too, and you just have to focus on the things that you can control, the weather not being one of them. Having to go into a freezer to practice, to me, just reinforces that all you're thinking about is how cold it's going to be.
But there is something to be said about teams that are conditioned to playing in the cold versus the ones that aren't. Green Bay doesn't play the NFC North the Saints don't play Green Bay or the NFC North all that often. So to have a road game in conditions that they're never used to playing in is difficult. And look, we saw this happen with the college football playoff this past weekend. How many teams that went into road environments? I'd argue that Indiana and Notre Dame play in similar conditions on a more regular basis. SMU sure doesn't. Tennessee sure doesn't. And the weather was not a factor in the Clemson and Texas game. But very clearly, the teams that are conditioned to playing in the cold more often than not were the teams that were, the winners, the ones that are going on to the quarterfinals. And I don't really know if there's a way to simulate that other than playing in it on a regular basis. So your idea that, the other team has to play in it too, the other team's more conditioned and adept to doing it. So I appreciate the out-of-the-box idea. And you know what? I like this idea more than the players who are like, it's a good idea to get acclimated to the cold.
Yeah.
Taking most of my clothing off and going outside and doing my warm-ups, because not only am I going to sweat and catch a chill from that, and that's just, once you're that cold, it's impossible to warm back up. Not only am I going to do that, I'm going to get myself sick in the process, and then I've got another week left of the season, and I'm going to feel miserable as I'm trying to get ready for my last game. I don't like that idea at all. So I appreciate the level of out-of-the-box thinking that went on here. Will it make a difference? Probably not. But when you think about the Saints and the injuries to their quarterback room from Derek Carr and, is he having surgery? Is he not having surgery? We saw Jake Haener last week. Didn't go over very well. Spencer Rattler in the mix, too. I think you got to do whatever you can simply to stay afloat at this point.
Look,
because
if
it has
it
not
works,
looked good.
Courtney, if it works, every Southern team is going to be installing giant freezer practice
Walk-in
facilities.
freezers, but these will be freezers that don't just house food. These will be freezers specifically for preparing. It's a 53-man freezer. They'll be putting these things in that basically are like the size of the practice facility, so you can go in there and acclimate to the conditions for road games in Buffalo or other places.
I'm sure this is great for the environment. Progressive insurance for motorcycles, boats, RVs, protection on the road, on the water. See how much you can save. 1-800-PROGRESSIVE, progressive.com. That's 1-800-PROGRESSIVE, progressive.com. Monday Night Football tonight on ESPN. The Saints in Green Bay to take on the Packers. Now, it's also Festivus on Unsportsmanlike with Aaron Goldhammer and Courtney Cronin. So we're asking for you to air grievances at 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Steven is listening on 93.5 in the state of Illinois and wants to air grievances. Steven, welcome to the show. What do you got?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Sure.
I got a couple, actually. I hate that ticket prices are through the roof. They're extremely expensive, even though the teams, more often than not, in Illinois are garbage. I hate having to watch 1,000 different streaming sites just to go watch my teams play.
Okay.
I hate watching teams asking for government handouts, even though they're raking in record profits. That's very, very bad. And then I also hate watching sports with my kids, knowing that they have to see these gambling ads day in and day out. I wish they had a second site that would allow them to watch their games with maybe kids advertisements.
Well, listen. Sports aren't. Matt is up next. He's on 105.5 in Wisconsin. Joins us on ESPN Radio. What's up, Matty? Go ahead.
Oh, good morning. Thank you for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I've got a little bit of a problem with the college football playoff here. If the 5 through 8 seeds are good enough to get a home game, why do we have to use the bowl games for the 1 through 4 seeds that earn their way to the quarterfinals? Why can't they have a home game?
Money. I mean, isn't that an obvious reason for this? And people
it is,
want...
but it's still a grievance. I'm with Matt. I feel like the first 2 rounds should be on
home
college campuses, and if it's that big of a deal, because of course there's going to be the Bulls who have contracts with ESPN and other networks for these games. Can't you just slap your name on a bowl game, regardless of where it's being played? Like the Fiesta Bowl doesn't have to be in Arizona, does it? Like, maybe somebody can
Don't they want to travel corporate sponsors to a luxurious, sexy location for getting away from the winter? Like, I always thought that was part of.
Phoenix is not a luxurious, sexy location. It gets you away from the winter a little bit, but it's not like you're going to the Bahamas.
Okay, I'll listen to that. The Rose Bowl is a unique environment. Like that's the one that people I think really still care about.
Make that for the semifinal. Make that for the national championship. After having witnessed this myself this past weekend, I want the first 2 rounds. I want those first 4 seeds, the 1 through 4, to have the advantage, like Matt was talking about, of playing a game on their home campus. Now, unless the colleges are that worried or the CFP is worried, well, there might not be any students there. We saw sellout crowds across college football this past weekend when a lot of students went home for college break. A lot stayed. Yeah. And I think that there's a good precedent being set that that's going to continue going forward. So just take the name of some of these bowl games, be like the Fiesta Bowl at XYZ University or at XYZ Stadium. I think it could be really cool and a very unique way to do bowl season going forward.
888-SAY-ESPN, Dr. Pepper call-in line. Mardi Gras Bob in New Orleans is on Sportsmanlike on ESPN Radio. Air grievances for Festivus, Mardi Gras Bob.
Well, happy Festivus to both of you.
You too.
Courtney, I'll have you know it's 50 degrees in New Orleans, not 65, so... I know, still
just
not
a little
cold.
bit cooler. Like I think I woke up and it was 10 degrees out, Mardi Gras Bob. So you have me beat there. But I get it. I lived in Mississippi, so 50 degrees feels colder down there.
Don't be jealous. All right, my grievance is the Saints' infinite refusal to admit that there's a salary cap because we can never sign players that end up
blossoming in other cities. Here's two. Trey Hendrickson leading the lead in sacks. He started with the Saints. We couldn't pay him because we were still playing Drew Brees 4 years after he retired. Zach Bond, the Eagles' best linebacker, started with the Saints. Couldn't pay him because, who knows, we're probably still paying Michael Thomas for all I know. So get with the salary cap, Saints.
That they need to hire some people in cap evaluation. I would totally. Doesn't it always seem, appreciate it, Bob, like the team that's in the most salary cap hell is the New Orleans Saints. Now they have one. Okay, they have one recently, and the Browns are in worse salary cap hell than anybody right now because of the Deshaun Watson contract. That is obvious, but you know that they could use some work when it comes to the cap. All right, up next, a fan won pizza for an entire stadium. We will explain how this happened and what the fallout of it is on Sportsmanlike. I'm Aaron Goldhammer, Courtney Cronin on ESPN Radio and on ESPNU.
This is Mike Greenberg from Greeny, wishing you a happy holiday season from all of us here at ESPN Radio.
Greeny.
This is one that I really find curious. This doesn't feel like something that an organization of this magnitude does. It feels beneath them.
Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio. This is Freddie and Harry.
I feel like more so than any year, this is the year that Kansas City needs the number one seed the most because of how bad their offensive tackles are. And the reason why I bring that up, when you have to go on the road and play, the offense has to deal with what? Crowd noise. When the offensive tackles are at home, they're more so at an advantage because they can hear the quarterback. They can hear the snap count. When you're on the road, you can't hear it, baby.
Check out more from Freddie and Harry weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
This is Adam Schefter, and on this week's episode, Pro Football Hall of Famer Lawrence Taylor on his former defensive coordinator Bill Belichick taking over at his alma mater, North Carolina. The Adam Schefter Podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts.
This Christmas is different. 5 games.
A Christmas Day gift!
5 superstar matchups.
Splashdown, Steph Curry. The legend of LeBron continues to grow.
Including Dunk the Halls, a real-time animated NBA game between the Spurs and the Knicks, and featuring Mickey and friends. Celebrate the NBA on Christmas Day, beginning at noon Eastern on ESPN, ABC, ESPN Plus, and Disney Plus. The NBA on Christmas Day on ESPN Radio. First in New York, the Spurs face the Knicks.
One thing I would like from Santa would be a win.
Then in Dallas, the Mavericks welcome the Timberwolves.
Relax, it's Christmas.
Tip-off for the Spurs and Knicks is at noon Eastern.
Hey, it's Christmas. You can do what you want on Christmas.
Followed by the Timberwolves and Mavericks.
Put that Christmas gift away.
Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. A Christmas Day doubleheader on ESPN Radio, ESPN, and on ABC.
I'm David Dennis Jr., hosting ESPN Daily. Every weekday morning, we bring you the best sports story you'll hear all day. Today on ESPN Daily, Ryan McGee breaks down the opening round of the college football playoff and hopes that we all embrace the weirdness that is the college bowl season. That's ESPN Daily. Follow us and listen wherever you get good podcasts.
Central Division rivals clash on ESPN Hockey Night. Dallas.
Definitely a playoff team. There's no question about it.
And its stars.
Duchesne scores! Ottinger kept it out! Jason Robertson!
Travel to the Windy City to face Connor Bedard and the Blackhawks.
He's the heartbeat of his team. Bedard with a shot, he scores!
That's hockey. ESPN Hockey Night presented by Expedia. Stars Blackhawks at 8:30 Eastern, Sunday on ESPN.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
So all the time, there are people who, when a kicker misses, they go, come on, I could have made that kick. It was actually true yesterday in Cincinnati on Sportsmanlike's on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app. We are on ESPNU. Dr. Pepper call-in line for your grievances is still open. 888-SAY-ESPN on this Festivus, 888-729-3776. 3776. I'm Aaron Goldhammer. She is Courtney Cronin. Now, I was surprised to see this because I thought this kid was going to shank this kick and it was going to be brutal. But there was a competition in Cincinnati, Bengals-Browns, yesterday for a fan to try to make a field goal. And if the fan makes the kick, everybody in the stadium wins a free pizza from a local pizza sponsor. I could make a joke here about the Bengals. You know, some places like on College Game Day, you make a field goal like this, you win $100,000. The Bengals are giving away a couple of pizzas, but okay. Courtney, if you were in the stands, the kid made the kick, by the way. I mean, the Browns should sign the kid. The Browns have had a kicking nightmare this year. If you're in that stadium and you win that free pizza, are you really actually going to redeem said pizza?
Depends where the pizza's from. Am I supposed to out the pizza place? Because I know it and I'm not thrilled about it.
No, don't. No. Let's keep it. Let's keep it generic.
I'll leave it alone. This is not a pizza place that I would be chomping at the bit to go sign up and get my 12-inch personal pizza or whatever it is for. Like, I would probably give it to somebody else. Be like, hey, this is good for a free pizza. It expires by this date. Use it or lose it, more or less. But because I ran into something like this the other day, actually. So after a Northwestern basketball game, they have this, I guess it's like not a contest, but it's a promotional event. So they've got a couple. So Brickin' for Chicken. Anytime I get a free Chick-fil-A coupon, I'm using it. That's if the other team misses, I believe it's 8 free throw attempts in a game, everybody gets free Chick-fil-A.
Brilliant.
That did not happen. There's not as cool of a name for the other promotion, which did happen, which I do have 2 coupons for, but it was if Northwestern has 4 blocks on the whole day, you get a coupon for a burger. So they're handing these things out at the end of the game.
Okay.
Little did I know, and I looked down at it, again, everybody's got their own preference. I would not prefer to eat a vegan burger. It was to a vegan restaurant where I guess Impossible Burger or something of that ilk was what they were handing out. So no, that's kind of like this pizza that was being given out at the Bengals Stadium. This was also something that I would not be running up to the store being like, here, take my ticket before this thing expires. I just am going to let that go.
Look, when I was a kid, if there was a chicken nugget promotion or whatever, like I would make my parents follow through on that. How many people in that Bengals stadium are actually going to redeem their pizza today? I want the exact numbers on this because I actually think that probably the pizza company, you know, they got great promotion out of this thing.
Sure.
And my guess is a couple hundred of these people are going to go get, or do you think the entire stadium went straight from Paul Brown to the pizza parking lot to claim their free pie?
I highly doubt that. Just based on the fact, the sheer number, 60-some thousand people, not everybody. The pizza company is taking a gamble that 60,000 some people will not be coming in because they'd go bankrupt, Aaron, if they had to dole out that many free pizzas. Like, there's no way.
Courtney, it's a lot of dough, if you know what I mean.
Here we go.
Because it's the pizza.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay, so just because the hosts are off doesn't mean you're allowed to make jokes like that without putting money in
That's true.
In our bad take.
Yeah, you owe us $1.
Sure.
Yeah, you got to put money. Everyone knows we have a jar.
What am I supposed to do? Venmo?
Yes,
we'll tally it up.
How it's done when you're not.
We'll tally it up at the end of the week.
He had some joke earlier today too that I think.
It was cold.
Remember?
No, this was good. It was cold in Columbus, and so Ryan Day was off the hot seat. Like that. That's not a joke.
No, there was another one.
It's a good line.
We're gonna have to rewind the tape, review this, call in the officials.
It's called the Slice the Uprights contest. And it's a kick from the 30, so it's a 40-yard field goal?
And I would imagine if you saw the video of the guy doing the gritty afterwards, it did not look warm there.
No.
We had college kickers this past weekend that we were worried about making field goals because of the line drive attempt and the ball trajectory because of how cold it was. So the fact that this guy on the street, this random fan, was able to do this and not just get it for your section, which is pretty cool regardless, but to get pizza for an entire stadium, that's stuff of legend. That's stuff that you put on your resume. That's stuff you put on a dating app, as in the first prompt. That is incredible. So to whoever this gentleman is is that a T. Higgins jersey? I mean, this guy is incredible. I'm so happy for him.
Let's see, Bengals number 2. Is it an Evan McPherson jersey?
Is that? I mean, if he was wearing the jersey of the
Yeah.
kicker, that would be pretty incredible.
He was rocking the jersey of the kicker. That is an Evan McPherson jersey, not a Cade York jersey, who
So
was
here's
actually
the thing.
kicking for the Bengals yesterday.
Do we think this guy's actually a kicker? Like maybe he played in college somewhere, maybe he played in high school. Like, is there a little conspiracy here that this guy might be
Courtney,
a little adept at doing this?
I was going to say.
Who buys the jersey of the kicker?
Like, the prize is so I don't know. Like, obviously the contest only pays off for the sponsor if the guy makes the kick, right? If the guy misses the kick, we're not talking about the local pizza chain today. It just becomes another thing that happened during a timeout of a game. So I think there's something to be said for what you're. I'm guessing this is not the first time this kid has tried to kick a field goal, and I'm guessing they didn't pick a random person out of. Yes. It might be Evan McPherson, for all we know.
I mean,
40-yard
conspiracy. I mean, yeah, you said 30, 40-yard kick, like in conditions too. That's impressive. Although I've always loved watching it on game day. Over the years, especially this year, and there was only like 1 or 2 people who got the $100,000.
Yep.
Can you imagine, like, all of a sudden you make life-changing money for yourself?
Yep.
Maybe you pay off some student loans, maybe you put a down payment on a house, maybe you do whatever with it. You invest it, you save it, you buy crypto. I don't know. And like you see people doing that, and the other guy wins free pizza for everyone. Not even just like, oh, like, wow, I really cashed in for my efforts here. I got everybody. I mean, you're taking a step towards eradicating hunger, I guess. But
not to brag, but I once won 14 free tacos by making 14 layups in a minute.
Did you eat the tacos?
No, I gave them away. I was 10, and I gave them to hungry college students who also won. I won my entire section of free taco as well. So
look at you giving, Pat.
I'm a man of the people.
You're a good person.
Who said that he just has a bunch of grievances? In college, I had to make a free throw, a layup, a three-pointer, and a half-court shot in 30 seconds to win free tuition, and I only made the layup. I only made one of the 4.
Did they charge you double after your attempt?
Why am I not surprised by that?
They should have, because
tracks.
It was not exactly my finest moment in the history of my athletic prowess, which isn't very good to begin
Well,
with.
at least you've never had any other infamous moments that went poorly for you.
No, just a cursory Google of me might reveal some of those. I'm Aaron Goldhammer. She's Courtney Cronin. It's been on Sportsmanlike on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
Great game. You got into the end zone again and again. How'd it feel?
Awesome. Like getting a new iPhone again and again. I just got the new iPhone 16 Pro today.
Really?
Yeah, and with AT&T Next Up Anytime, I can upgrade early every year.
Very nice.
Feel like an MVP again. Learn how to get the new iPhone 16 Pro on us and the latest iPhone every year with AT&T Next Up Anytime. AT&T. Connecting changes everything. Offer subject to change. Additional fees, terms, and restrictions apply. $0 offer may not be available on future iPhones. Next Up Anytime feature may be discontinued at any time. See att.com/iPhone for details.
Hey, fans! Welcome back to Fansville's Cheers and Tears. Oh. Okay, so like everybody deals with losing, right? To a rival on a last-second field goal. Whatever, it's fine. I'm totally fine. But I cope with losing with an ice-cold Dr. Pepper. Those 23 flavors are like so delicious. They totally wash away the pain of your college football team taking a big fat L. College football. It's a pepper thing.
Here's the deal. When you combine State Farm home and auto insurance, you save an average of $889. State Farm agent Kurt Lenschow is ready to help you combine home and auto and save right here in Champaign-Urbana. Call 352-1411 today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Average annual per household savings based on a 2019 national survey by State Farm of new policyholders who reported savings by switching to State Farm.
Urbana Park District with a new website, urbanaparks.org, with a fantastic new look, including an ADA accessibility program so more people can navigate the website. There's translation services. Just press a button and read the website in a foreign language. Want to register for an Urbana Park District class or program online? It's easier to use. Urbana Park District, you belong here. Check out the new website, urbanaparks.org.
You have money laying all around your house. You just don't know it. And no, I don't mean selling your great-grandma's good china. I mean all the old metal items you don't want to use or get rid of. Don't pay someone to haul it away. Bring it into Max Twin City Recycling and get paid to have it taken off your hands. They love new customers and are more than willing to walk you through their process step by step. Come check them out at 2808 North Lincoln Avenue in Urbana.
Starting it over is what we do at Max Twin City Recycling.
Now at Jets, order any 3-topping pizza and get $5 off. Just use promo code 3TOP when ordering. That's the number 3, T-O-P. Want to impress family and friends and spend less? Get creative and build your own 3-topping pizza with their favorites for your holiday gatherings. Available in deep dish, thin crust, New York style, or hand toss round. Any 3-topping Jets pizza for $5 off with promo code 3TOP. It's a deal. Jets, better because it has to be.
You've set your financial goals. One kid plans to go Big Ten, the other Ivy. Your bucket list includes seaside sunrises and sunsets on the slopes, or perhaps a second home away from it all. Busey Bank can help develop the right investment strategy to take charge of the years ahead. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868. Proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini. Member FDIC.
This holiday season, you can help light the way for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities by donating to DSC's Tree of Hope. The Tree of Hope is more than just a symbol of light. It's a beacon of possibility. Each light on the tree represents hope and a step towards a brighter future for people with disabilities. Visit dsc-illinois.org to make your donation before January 31st. Join in today to be part of the hope that shines brightly for all. dsc-illinois.org.